Thousands more shared bicycles are set to hit the streets. Move Technology has been granted in-principle approval to operate on a full license and run a fleet of 10,000 bicycles.
The company told CNA it plans to fully deploy these bikes island-wide by the first quarter of next year. That will bring the total number of shared bikes here to 45,000.
Well, Move was granted a sandbox license in April, and that allowed the company to operate up to 1,000 bicycles for a year. With the full license, well, it can operate in public places for 2 years. Move is currently one of 3 bike-sharing companies in Singapore.
SG Bikes' permitted fleet size is 25,000 bicycles, and that's the largest, while Anywheel is licensed to have 10,000 bikes on the road. The 2 operators welcomed the Land Transport Authority, or LTA's move to allow more shared bikes.
SG Bike says that it has seen more requests for shared bicycles as the country increased its cycling infrastructure, and it thinks that this latest step will help meet the demand.
Similarly, Anywheel says that having qualified operators coming in to provide the service in a responsible manner is good for the industry as a whole.
But shared bicycles have also led to issues like indiscriminate parking. We've all seen that, and to curb the problem, a QR code system was introduced in January to ensure that users park at designated areas. LTA says that the proportion of trips ending in indiscriminate bicycle parking has since plunged from 44% to 13%. That's a pretty significant improvement, and it added that it regularly reviews the fleet sizes of shared bicycles to ensure that their numbers are able to meet user demand without causing disamenities.
And for more, we're joined in studio here by Vivek Vaidya. He is the Associate Partner and Senior Vice President, Mobility Asia Pacific of Frost & Sullivan. Thanks so much for coming in.
Thank you so much.
So what do you make then? Another 10,000 bicycles coming into the market. Is there enough demand for all this supply?
I think this is a new segment where the last mile connectivity is fulfilled by the bicycles. So actually more cycles will create more demand. It is a matter of changing customer habit. So the last mile connectivity, which is currently either walking or bus, has to change to bicycle. So whenever I walk out of the MRT, the bike should be available. If it is not, then it doesn't change my habit. So right now we are at a situation where more bikes will create more demand. So I also, like all other industry players, welcome this move.
For Move, it's going to be a big change for their business strategy, because they're going from 1,000 bikes to potentially 10,000. So how is that going to impact their business strategy and their priorities going forward?
I think 1,000 was a sandbox license. So they were always dreaming of going for a full license. So I'm sure that the moment they applied for a sandbox license, they had a plan ready for 10,000 bikes. So I think it's probably their dream come true. They're onto their business plan, and I think they would have everything worked out about how they would run 10,000 bikes.
Now, we have seen a bit of turnover in shared bike operators in last year. I mean, it's still quite a new industry, you have to say. What do you put that down to?
I would say this is an industry which needs a bit of streamlining, and it needs to settle down in a particular way of doing business. I think initially what was tried was no dog parking, so anybody could park anywhere. That resulted in indiscriminate parking, and we also saw some vandalism that happened. But now with the QR code system, you are supposed to, the onus of ending the bike ride properly is onto the customer, and that will greatly prevent all the misuse. So that is one challenge solved. I think OFO's abrupt exit, which resulted in loss of deposits for many of the customers, that is also a big setback. You know, all the existing players will have to work doubly hard to gain the trust of the customers. Otherwise, nobody is going to put money in your wallet if, one day it's all going to disappear. So I would say initial teething trouble. In the long run, it all needs to settle down. Of course, some customers have lost money, which is bad. But from the industry point of view, this is something which, one has to overcome to have a settled down industry which will serve the customers very well.
So Vivek, you think that the QR code system, that solved the problem of indiscriminate parking?
That is only one problem solved. So I would say that what should have been solved, or what could have been solved right in the beginning, is solved now. But I would say the biggest challenge, and one which can be solved, one which cannot be solved. One which can be solved is having a proper cycling infrastructure. I think cycling, unless there is a dedicated cycling lane, it becomes that much more difficult to have a bicycle ride. And if pedestrians and cyclists are shared, then it's not a very harmonious relationship. That is a problem that would really give a boost for this cycle as a last mile connectivity solution. I would say that is like the holy grail.
Okay.
If that is done, then we will see a big uptake in this.
Because people need to feel safe as well to ride.
That's
I mean, Steve, you ride a lot, so
Absolutely.
it's a big consideration. Vivek, thank you very much for coming into the studios and sharing your views with us on this topic. That was Vivek Vaidya there. He is Associate Partner and Senior Vice President, Mobility, Frost & Sullivan, Asia Pacific.